everybody keeps saying, what's wrong with Mary? Why is Mary limping? Why is Mary hanging on? As you know, we have moved from the old building to the new building. And as I have been working on the update, the second edition of our Seed to Seal book will come out at convention. And it's going to be dynamite. It's so brilliant. And it's not brilliant because I wrote it, it's brilliant because of what's in it. and John Wetton and I have sat shoulder to shoulder for 6 months. And when I said, John, we have to do an update, I'm sure we can do it in 2 or 3 weeks. And last week we went into our 7th month. And last Friday he finally sent it to LSP. So John and I are celebrating. We are free. But anyway, everybody was gone from the building basically, and I was in my cubbyhole in the back, and when I have heels on, I tend to slide my feet instead of pick them up. And sometimes when I'm pensive and I'm thinking, I just kind of, and my heel caught in a thread of the carpet. And when I tried to get my foot out, my heel out, I lost my balance and I went down and hit right on my kneecap. And I hit so hard, I just sat there. I couldn't move until somebody came in. I said, I can't get up. And when I got up, I went back and John and I kept working. And John had gone out somewhere, so there was nobody in there. There's nobody I could call. So I just waited, and one of the gentlemen who's helping to move everything came in and saw me on the floor and helped me get up. But my knee was swollen like this. And Joseph was taking photography lessons with John, so he came for his lesson, and everybody who started coming got really nervous, and I thought, okay, I'll go get an x-ray just to make sure, although I knew it wasn't broken. And Joseph was with me, and he stayed with me, and he took really good care of me, and I let them think that he had his learner's permit, so he could drive. They gave me a brace that went from here almost to my ankle, and I'm, like this, trying to move it. It was horrific. So we got to the car, and naturally I couldn't get my leggings. I just tore the thing off, and I said, I'm not wearing this thing. So I just threw it in the back seat, and I got in, and we drove home. But it was extremely painful, and I couldn't hardly walk. And Jacob was there working on his car when I pulled into the garage, and he and his friends, they came and picked me up, these bunch of guys, and carried me up the stairs. And I sat on my bed just madder than heck. But I started using all my stuff, helichrysum, frankincense, copaiba. I use the CBD rub that we have now with the This stuff is fantastic. But, I used all kind of Cool Azul, that's a biggie, And I just kept rubbing it in and rubbing it in and rubbing it in. And you know what? My knee went like this to like this, almost overnight. And then it was just a little bit. And I was walking around, and I was walking through the kitchen, and I was walking without hanging on. And I thought, oh, Mary, you're just doing so great. And I saw this pair of short heels in my closet, and I thought, oh, I can wear those. This is no big deal. I can walk just fine. And I had 2 things in my hands, walked down the stairs, 3 steps, into the garage, a cement floor to my car. And I lost my balance, and my feet went, and I fell really hard on the cement right here on my side. So I have a bad knee here. I hurt my hip here. I don't know where to put my weight. And I'm just lying there in the garage because I wanted to protect this knee. I didn't want to hit it again. So I twisted my body to come down on this side. And I jammed my wrist into my elbow into my shoulder. Man, it was horrible. I'm lying and I'm screaming, Joseph! Because I was going to take him to school. And he didn't come. And finally I yelled, help! And he came running. He went, oh, Mom! So I scooted on my backside into the conference room where we had carpet. And then he lifted me up. And we walked to the car. I drove him to school. And I drove to the office. And John came down and helped me out of the car. And I went upstairs. I'm working on the book. I was so miserable. And I said, I think Tammy's in town. I called Tammy really fast, and she was almost to the new building. She was going in to see her office for the first time, and I told her what happened, so she came right over. Imagine, we found a massage table in the building, a couple of pillows. We got some oils, and Tammy worked on me, and Chad Goodman happened to come up to see me. You know, he's a chiropractor, he's a bone doctor, and we all decided nothing's broken. I knew it wasn't. But boy, did I hurt. Oh my goodness. It didn't seem to me like it was getting better, but it was. And I rubbed so many oils here that I created a rash. I did a lot of lemongrass. Yeah, lemongrass. So I got this little rash right here, but it's almost gone now because I quit using lemongrass. But I mean, you can go too far, as you well know, and you use those hot oils and they can do weird things to you. So I finally agreed to go in and get an x-ray. Everybody was so nervous about it. Everybody was so curious, and I thought, well, if you see it, you know for sure. Maybe I have a fracture. So I went in, got this x-ray. The PA with whom we have become pretty good friends put the x-ray, turned it on the screen, and I looked at that, and I was in awe. First of all, the bone density was that thick. It was so beautiful. The bones were so beautiful. They went just like this. They were perfect. So smooth, so clean. Absolutely nothing wrong. They were absolutely perfect in every way possible. And he looked at me and he said, Mary, I hope my bones look as good as yours when I'm your age. It was astounding. The space between the joints was perfect. He said, there's no arthritis, like he was in shock, like somebody my age should have arthritis. He said, I don't see anything wrong anywhere. It is absolutely perfect. He said, what you have done is you have just tremendously bruised the bursa up here. And bone bruises can hurt for a long time. So for the longest time when I got in the car, even when I was putting my foot on the brake and the gas pedal, I pick my leg up and move it, like this, because moving it on my own, hurt a lot. As you can see, I can move it now. I can do all of this, and I have no pain. And when I stand straight, I have no pain. But if I twist, if I turn, if I go forward, if I irritate the joint, then I get a lot of pain. I tried going up and down the stairs normally at home, and it hurt a lot. So I can bend my knee this much, can't go all the way, but I can't put the weight on it. So I'm being smarter than I was. And I have lots of people around me. Everybody comes running to help. Joseph is an angel. He comes, he takes everything out of my hands. He says, no, Mom, you can't carry that. He helps me out of the car. He walks with me across the garage floor. He's nervous about that floor. When I'm in the house, I walk fine. I'm totally comfortable. When we got out of the van and I looked down at the asphalt, I just went, I can't walk. You know, it was just so scary to remember that pain. I'm sure I can walk, but I'm not willing to try because I don't want to fall flat on my face in front of all of you. That would be really unsophisticated. So this is my elephant. So when you come up, don't grab me and push me forward or pull me back. You can see John has been with me every minute. Walking up as he carries my computer bag, he carries everything for me. He's just been a dream. But anybody who's there has been so willing to help me. Kelly's walked me out to the car. Matt, Jared, everybody who's there wants to help. And it has made it very easy for me. I can go and do what I need to do. But I suspect another month, I'm hoping and praying by convention that I can get out there on stage and I'll be able to wiggle and have fun. That's what I'm expecting. Now, I'm going to tell you why my bones look so great. Chad Goodman said, when he didn't think I heard, that I should have crushed that fall onto the cement as hard as I fell, should have crushed all these bones. Should have. They weren't crushed. They weren't fractured. They weren't anything. Because of the way I take care of myself. Because of what I eat. When I was pregnant with Joseph, he took so much calcium from me that I have to tell you, I've had a couple of scans, and it sure looked like I was headed toward the osteoporosis. I actually think I was there, which has made me really unsure, and I want to be really careful. Gary he formulated Mega-Cal for me when I was pregnant with Joseph, because he didn't think that what we had was sufficient enough for my needs. So that product was created for me. So I'm sure that many of you could use it and have the same benefits that I had. But there are a couple of other products. He also created Agile Ease for me. Agile Ease is one of his finest formulas. And he worked on it a long time. He did a lot of research. And then he turned it over to Mike to let R&D get going with it. And they made suggestions. There was a lot of conversation that went back and forth. And they finally arrived at what Gary considered to be the best formula. That product is absolutely spectacular. And I always take it every day. And Joseph takes it every day. Joseph is my okay mom kid. You know, he has an elk patty and an egg for breakfast. He takes a shot of MindWise. I make him a sleek protein drink. And I put all of his capsules in a little shot glass, put them on the table, dump them out, and he takes all his capsules. And he never says no. And he's got a body like Gary's. He's just like this. And he plays soccer, he works out. He's a very powerful, physical young man. And I know it has a lot to do with what he eats. Jacob is also very strong. He's more lean. He's not faithful with the supplements like Joseph. He'll take them if I put them in his hand, but Joseph will take them without me having to put them in his hand. But Agile Ease and BLM, those are the bone strengtheners. PD8020, depending on what your need is. Maybe one a week, one every day, I don't know. You figured out what's good for you. But there are two products that I want to talk to you about. Many of you know that we are transcribing all of the old cassette tapes. And Karen Bourne's been going through them and taking out all the unessential stuff. Like, who's on the call today? No, we don't need that kind of stuff. You want to get to the nuts and bolts. And she's cleaning it up, making it readable, grammatically correct to some degree. And then she sends it to me, and when I have time, I'm going to go through and take out or leave just what I think you want to know. We're going to put it in a book. We're going to call it the Legacy Series. It's probably going to take 3 or 4 years to get it done. I don't think I can go that fast because I have a lot of other things on my plate. But I was going through reading, and I try to do maybe 1 or 2 a day. I'm trying to get through them because there's got to be 300 or 400 tapes, maybe more. And we just finished digitizing all of the videos. So John and I are going to sit and see if we can categorize those. It's a monstrous project. But if I don't do it, it will never be done. If you don't get that information, it will be lost to the annals of history. And what Gary did was brilliant. He had a mind that even I had a difficult time understanding. How did he know? How could he look at you and tell you? What was his thought process? He was so criticized because he didn't have a college degree. And yet he took courses all over the world specific to what he wanted to know. He was always studying. He was always in his books. He probably knew more about essential oils than anybody in the world. And part of that knowing was from what he studied. The other part was God-given. And you cannot deny that. And those of you who knew Gary, those of you who had the opportunity to talk with him, you know that he had that knowing. Yes. And we often said to each other, how does he do that? How does he know that? And he'd just look at you and smile. Many times he would go to the mountains. He called the mountains God's living room. And that's where he went when he wanted to talk to God. And when he had questions, things that were a concern to him, he would go to the mountains and he would come back with the answer. It was most remarkable. If you ever heard him give a prayer, you knew he was talking to God. There was no doubt this man knew God. And God was his foundation. And God is the foundation of Young Living. Based on godly principles. The decisions we make are made based on the principles by which we live and that which we know will make your lives better, make it easier for you to help people, make it easier for you to build a business. Be very certain of that. Know that within your heart that that's where we come from, and that was always the basis of Young Living. And if we ever go away from that, we will not grow as we should. And many more people will not hear the message that we have to give them. Always show that gratitude. Gratitude to those in your organizations because they're the ones who create your check. Be grateful for the knowledge you have. Be grateful for the products that we have. Grateful that one man cared enough that he gave his life for what we have today. That he gave everything he had. Don't ever forget that. Because that is who we are. And that is the legacy that we all carry within our hearts. When we opened the clinic in Springville, Gary wanted to have a gym next door. So he rented the area in the same building and put in all this gym equipment, and he started studying bodybuilding because he felt like it was so important for people to build their bodies, to be physically in shape in order to be healthy. That was part of being healthy, part of living a life without misery and pain. He found Bob Del Monte, who was a bodybuilder. He was 80 years old. You remember, don't you? Yes. And Bob was a ladies' man. Oh my goodness, at that age, he was something else. But Gary made contact with Bob, and he asked Bob if he would come to our ribbon cutting, which he did. And we became friends with Bob. And Bob and Gary spent a lot of time talking about the human body, about bodybuilding. And Bob said to Gary, well, why don't you work out? And Gary said this, I was told that after my accident with all of the muscle wasting, that I could never rebuild my body. And Bob said these words that will forever burn in my mind and set Gary on a path that was unstoppable. He said, don't you believe in your own products? And Gary looked at him. I remember I was standing there, and it's like a light bulb turned on. And we started buying gym equipment from garage sales when we would drive around in the neighborhood, and we put them in the truck, took them home, and set them out around the swimming pool until we had so much equipment there wasn't room for anything else. And then he wanted to buy air equipment. Well, air equipment next to a swimming pool, that's suicide for the machines. So he decided to build a gym out in the barn. So we have a gym out in our barn. And he bought the best. He had the best. And he worked out every day. And if any of you have the book, you see the picture of Gary bodybuilding. He took first place in that bodybuilding, national bodybuilding contest for those over age 50. And he was so thrilled because he never believed that he could do it. But Bob gave him the inspiration. So when Gary started bodybuilding, as you can see here, he started looking at what the body needed. And he realized that we didn't have a good amino acid formula in Young Living. I'm reading this in the transcript. This is about a month ago. And as I read this, I said to myself, Mary, you have a jar of that on the sink and you are not taking it. What is wrong with you? Oh my goodness. Now, the original formula was called Aminotech. But amino acids are the building blocks of the body. There are 9 amino acids that the body cannot produce. It has to come from the food that we eat, and then the body converts it. If we don't have those foods, with amino acids, our body cannot convert nutrients to protein. And protein is what builds muscle, so how can you be strong if you don't have the amino acids in your body? I read that and I thought, Mary, this is just crazy. How come you don't know this? How come you're not remembering this? And all the time, when they took the old Aminotech away, they said it's too expensive to make. And this happened while we were in Ecuador. Well, if you don't eat the right foods, how are you going to get these amino acids? What foods? Good question. Some of you may have heard Gary tell a story in 1980 when he was doing a research project with spinach. And they were testing the spinach that came from various food companies, well-known food companies. And the spinach had 0 iron. Then they tested cauliflower. cauliflower is one of your highest sources of vegetable amino acids. 0. So where's your body going to get it? Where's your body going to get the minerals that it needs? There are some that you can get from meat and eggs and poultry, but can you get everything? Can you get balanced amino acids in your body? Not likely. As I said, there are 20 different aminos that your body needs, but there are 9 that it has to make from the food you eat. If you don't have amino acids, you're going to have tremendous deficiencies in your body. You could be impacted negatively with the nervous system, reproductive system, immune system, digestive system, every functionality in the body that amino acids facilitate will not be there. And then we wonder why we don't feel well. We wonder what's wrong. We wonder why we're so tired. We wonder why we can't sleep at night, Joseph. I have the same problem. Well, since Gary's passing, none of us have slept very well. But I just wonder, how deficient are we? You can read this, you can see it. The minerals such as calcium, potassium, magnesium. If your electrolytes are out of balance, nothing functions. That's a no-brainer. These are some of the things that go wrong. How many of you suffer from fatigue? How many of you have aches and pains? How many of you are sore? I'm sore. How many are upset because you are replacing lean muscle with body fat? It's irritating, isn't it? And you ask yourself why. Well, there's a lot of foods that we shouldn't be eating. It's one thing to put in your body what you do need, but it's another thing to put in your body the foods that you don't need and think that, to put in your body the things that you do need and think that that's going to help with the foods that you shouldn't put in your body. You know, that's an oxymoron. You got to take out the foods that your body doesn't need and put in the foods that your body does need. I've heard it said to me, ooh, would that taste nasty? So what? As Gary always said, those things that are the best for your body sometimes are the worst tasting. So what? You know, sweetness isn't the name of the game. Sweetness might be your bonus at the end of the day, but sweetness is not going to help you be strong and healthy. Woo! One of the things that I do, and Jacob sticks his nose up at me when I do this, but I like to take the Yukon syrup because it's full of lots of rich minerals. It comes from a tubular plant from the ground, and it's pressed. That's how they get the Yukon, and it's expensive. It's expensive to make. It's expensive to get. It comes from Peru. There's a lot of challenges getting it here and into your hands. But I absolutely love it. I love the taste of it. Not everybody does. But my taste buds are not distorted with the sweet. And I don't mind the stuff that isn't sweet. But the Yukon is sweet enough that I take it and I can squeeze it on a piece of toast or cracker. And I sit and I just savor it. Or I put it on oatmeal. Or I put it on einkorn flakes. We eat lots of einkorn flakes at our house. Just last week, Joseph was upset, Mom, the flakes are gone. I said, well, I'm sorry, you didn't tell me. I'll have to get some more at the office. And when I got some, I said, hey, I've got your favorite thing. It's out in the trunk. And he goes running, oh, Mom, thank you, thank you. And I see with a big bowl of flakes going up the stairs to his homework. We love einkorn. We love flakes. We love granola. We love the rotini. We love the spaghetti. We love everything with einkorn. I hope you do too. And the more you eat it, the more you'll be willing to spend the money to get it, which will make it easier for us to go forward and produce more. And as you know, we have about 200 acres in crop up in Tabiona. So we are producing, but if you start demanding, we're not going to have enough for you, and then you're going to give Lauren nightmares. And we don't want to do that to Lauren because we love her a lot, and we want to keep her strong and healthy. But all of these things attribute to not having or having amino acids. Gary was going to launch AminoTech in 2003. He was ready to launch it, but just before it launched, he decided to go to China because he was already into wolfberry, and he wanted to see, he had to go at exactly the time that they were ready to be harvested because he wanted to see how that was done. You see the picture in my book where he's picking wolfberries. That was in the field in China. He got so excited about the profile, the nutrient profile of the wolfberries that he wanted to put it in everything. And as you know, we have many, many products with the wolfberry. But he wanted to put the wolfberry powder in AminoTech. So he put a hold on his formulation till he could get home and work it out, and that's why we have wolfberries in AminoTech. Not, well, it was AminoTech then. But then we went to Ecuador, and people decided that it was too expensive, as I told you. So he kept talking about his AminoWise, his AminoTech product, his amino acid product. I remember he talked with Mike a lot about it. They had a lot of conversation about it. He was not going to be satisfied until he put it back on the market because he knew how critical it was to the well-being, the health of the human body. So we have AminoWise, and we are very pleased about putting it in our bodies every day. And there's one other product that goes with AminoWise that I think is critical. This is what Gary thought about AminoWise. He hated it. He couldn't stand the taste of it. He says, I made it, I formulated it, but I can't stand the taste of it. And you know what? We put it in cold nitro or cold Ninja Red, and he'd chug it. He did not put it in his body, but he didn't like it. Some people, a very few people, say, no, this isn't too bad, I don't mind it. I mind it. You don't mind it? There's one. But there aren't very many of us who really like it. But just imagine a body without minerals. It isn't possible to live without minerals. They are so critical. So you have mineral essence and you have AminoWise. And we have lots of other things to add to that. There are ways to hide AminoWise. There are ways to hide mineral essence, sort of. And there are ways to just get it down. And you know, we've had really funny experiences because Eldon Neville gave us this idea because he had a dog that was chewing all the furniture. And Gary said, well, you know, Eldon, the dog is mineral deficient. And that's why it's chewing the wood. So Eldon started giving the dog droppers of mineral essence. And you know, it quit chewing the food. So that was a great idea for us, and we started, I had one bottle that I kept just for the animals. And we would put mineral essence in their water, and you know, they would lap it up. They had no sense of taste whatsoever. We have 2 dogs at home. We have one dog that just eats everything and anything, and we have another one, the older one, she'll sniff at it first before she sticks her nose up at a few things I put out there because they're good for cleaning up, you know, what the boys don't eat. But those dogs don't stick their nose up at mineral essence. Give it a try. Surely it's going to help make their coat shinier. We've always given it to the horses. Gary gave all the products to all the animals. And he had marvelous experiences. So these are 2 products that I don't think you should be without.